Bear with me when I explain this film because it is going to sound like a Christmas cracker joke and it's not a Christmas cracker joke, I promise. What do you get when you take the director of Saw 2 to 4 and ask him to create a musical rock opera with heavily gothic themes that is also a political satire on the public health system in America and the privatization of the health system? Repo, the genetic opera, is what you get if you didn't know the answer to that, which is what I want to talk about today. This film is, at the risk of sounding like Stefan from Saturday Night Live, this film has everything. Yes. It's insane. It's so weird. Obviously, that's kind of what I specialise in, is weird films. So I want to talk about it because more people need to know about this really bizarre film. So this film is from 2008. And it is written and directed partly by Darren Lynn Bousman, I think is how you say his surname. I'm not entirely sure. Who is the director from Saw 2 to 4 and Spiral as well, if anyone watched that film, because God knows I didn't. It also stars the late Paul Sorvino, who was a classically trained opera singer. And also the dad from Romeo and Juliet, you know, the good one with Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh, and also Paris Hilton is in this film as well. But she's actually pretty good in this film. She's kind of a highlight of this film, so take from that what you will. So the best way I can describe this film is it's Rocky Horror, but it's not Rocky Horror. It's kind of its own thing completely. So obviously, Rocky Horror is about the subversions of queer culture and conservative culture within America. This film is not about that. There is a little bit of queerness, but it's kind of for the wrong reasons, a little bit, unfortunately. We're not going to see that. I'm not going to show you that because it's just fucking weird. If you want to watch that stuff, there's another website you can go on. It's about, obviously, as I said, it's about the healthcare system in America and also just kind of how fucked America is, essentially. This film has 3 directors. Terence Zundunich, I believe is how you say his name. I'm probably absolutely butchering that. Darren Lynn Bousman and Darren Smith. So there's 2 Darrens and 1 Terence. Darren Smith saw his friend go through bankruptcy and basically thought this but musical and also about organs, not money, which honestly kind of fucked up. This film came out in 2008, which is kind of like the height of the financial crisis, but it was originally written in 2002, like I say, when Darren Smith saw his friend go through bankruptcy and was like, there's a story in there somewhere, which like it kind of fucked up a little bit because, I'm sorry, you're watching your friend go through one of the toughest things that they can go through, i.e. losing literally everything. He was having his home repossessed. And basically go, how can I make money from this? I can make this about me. You know, like, it's kind of fucked up a little bit. I just hope that his friend got a cut of the money. Because if not, Jesus fucking Christ. So, as I said, the movie was created in 2008, but the idea came about in 2002. Before it was a movie, they made it into a musical. And by they, I mean Terence and Darren Smith. They made it into a musical. It did semi-well. The story was completely different. Well, I say completely different. It was very different, though. They go to Darren Lynn Bousman, who is kind of like, I see potential in this. So they make a 10-minute, like, short film. It's kind of like a trailer to show people, hey, this is what this is about, we want to produce it. Eventually a studio picked it up. I can't remember which studio picked it up, and Repo, the genetic opera, was born. The film did not do well. The film had, I believe, like an 8 million budget. It made 180,000 all over. That's both domestically and internationally, and the majority of that money came domestically. However, after it left the cinemas, it sort of gained a cult following, which is where the comparisons for Rocky Horror come in. Because of the same happened with Rocky Horror, and now it's like a cult favourite, you know? Also, that's all the background out of the way. I just wanted to provide a little bit of information about how this film came to be, because I think it's quite important, because it's such a unique sort of film, and how badly it did on the box office I just feel like it deserves to be highlighted. Just like you talk about Rocky Horrors, you know, Rocky Start. You talk about this film's Rocky Start. Anyway, with that out of the way, the film begins with a comic strip kind of aesthetic where we learn that people have been suffering from organ failures for years now. This film is set in 2056. But prior to that, people's organs have been failing a lot. Like it's become an epidemic. People are just dying left and right. And obviously, people can't afford to pay for organ transplants as well. So GeneCo is created. GeneCo basically offers people the option of financing their organ transplants. So they basically say they come up with Klarna Pay, but for organ transplants. And people just start doing that because it's the only way that they can stop the mass organ failure that's currently sweeping the country, the city. We don't really get an explanation. I think it's just the city, but I'm not entirely sure. GeneCo's new, like, pay me back later, you know, IOU system goes really, really well. They push this idea of organ transplants being a fashion statement. You know, you can literally change anything. There's a shot where you can change your skin colour, and there's a shot where you can change your face, which becomes relevant later. You can literally do anything, and they sort of try and push this idea of designer parts, which kind of similar to the plot of Robots, actually. Maybe one took inspiration from another. I don't know. They kind of came out at the same time. What? So Robots was made in 2005, but obviously, as we know, this film was a musical before, and that was 2002. So it's entirely possible Robots took inspiration from Repo the Genetic Opera. It's not. Obviously, didn't actually happen. It's just a happy coincidence that this is a thing.
Why be you when you can be new?
That is GeneCo, I believe's a trademark saying. To go alongside these brand new beautiful parts, they also provide a painkiller, which is called Zydrate. Zydrate is an incredibly addictive pain reliever. Obviously, this drug is incredibly expensive, so a black market begins, and grave robbers steal the Zydrate from dead bodies and then sell it on this black market for cheap. Rotti Largo, who is the owner of GeneCo, also lobbies through a bill to Congress in which repossessions of organs is now legal. So basically, if you can't pay, they're going to take it away. And by take it, I mean your organs. They basically send a repo man, who is a lovely, lovely doctor, who essentially just pulls shit out of your body that belongs to them and then resells it to the next person. But that is only if you can't keep up your payments. If you can keep up your payments, you're fine. But chances are a lot of people are in debt, which we find out later on. So most people can't keep up their payments. We are then introduced to the narrator of the film, which is Grave Robber. A little bit on the nose, but this is the film all over. It's very on the nose. It's not subtle at all. He begins to sing about basically what we've just found out, what I've just told you. He just sings a little bit of exposition, just in case you weren't paying attention, which I don't know why you weren't, because I told you to. Very rude, if you ask me. Also, there's a half rhyme at the beginning of the song, and it really pisses me off. It just does my head in, because it's so easily rhymed, but they didn't rhyme it.
Say that you once bought a heart or new corneas, but somehow never managed to square away your debts. He won't bother to write or to phone you.
Phone ya was right there. You didn't need... They probably did it for a reason, but... It does my head in. It's so unsatisfying. It's literally right there. Just do it for my sake. Just do it. Just put it in. Phone ya. So we see the Repo Men in full action, and he is essentially chasing after this poor girl. I read somewhere that they're called surgery sluts. I can't find anywhere where they're called that, but I'm not going to call them that though. That she's just a fine young woman who hasn't been able to pay for her surgery, and so she has her heart ripped out of her chest. completely just ripped out. This film is quite gory. Obviously, it's by the director of Saw 2 to 4, so it's going to be gory. But I quite like the gore. I think it works in trying to get the message across of like, hey, this is the healthcare system if we don't stop, kind of thing. That's kind of what I like to think that they're trying to say. I don't think it is what they're trying to say, but I like that kind of like on the nose. I told you it's not Saw. It's an on the nose thing of like he's literally ripping stuff out. They don't give a fuck, essentially. We then see Jinko HQ in the middle of this city, I believe. It's not really explained, but I'm pretty sure it's a city. Where Rossi Largo is going through photos of his children. And he is incredibly disappointed by what he sees. In the photos, we see Luigi killing, I think it's 3 women, but it could be more. I'm not here to count bodies. I am not James A. Janice. This is not Dead Meat. We are not counting the amount of women that Luigi kills in this film. We then also see Amber Sweet looking like she's most likely drugged. She's probably taken some Zydrate, as we find out later in the film, but she doesn't really give a shit. We then also see that Pavi has killed a woman, and what we can only assume has stolen her face because he's sort of touching his face. So it's alluded that the reason he killed this woman is to take her face, because that's just normal things that you do when you've got a rich father. A doctor then enters the room. And basically, he's looking pretty nervous because he has to tell Rossi Largo that he is dying.
You don't have much time. It's spreading rapidly.
The doctor is then killed by these bodyguards who are not appropriately dressed at all. Like, I get it's a fashion statement, but fucking hell, girls, come on. Rossi then leaves the room and he's sort of grumbling about the fact that he's dying, but also his kids are nowhere near worthy of inheriting Jinko, and he's a little bit worried, and he says he knows who's going to inherit it, but he's not going to tell anyone because he wants them all to sort of be surprised.
Who will inherit Jinko, or keep those vultures guessing?
We are then finally introduced to the main character, who is Shiloh. She is a 17-year-old girl who is currently crawling through a load of tunnels with a gas mask on. Side note, she's also played by Alexa Vega, who, if you don't know, is from Spy Kids and Sleepover.
That's right. I'll be home soon.
Quite a bit of a departure from the previous films that she's been in, but I guess Evan Peters kind of went down the same sort of slope. He went from whatever the fuck he is in Sleepover.
Where are the babes?
To American Horror Story.
I'm calm. I know the secret.
Maybe it's an inevitable sort of timeline. If you acted in Sleepover, you were in some sort of gothic murder horror show, you know? As she enters the tomb, she adjusts her hair, which becomes very relevant very quickly, and just empties her bag all over the floor. Because, you know, that's normal. We find out that she sat at the grave of Marnie Wallace. Charlotte just kind of pulls out a packed lunch and starts reading the book. You know, normal things to do in a graveyard. And she then sees a bright blue book. So she decides, you know what, I'm going to catch that. We then see Grave Robber, who is doing his favourite hobby, crocheting. No, he's obviously robbing graves. He is currently stealing Zydrate from dead bodies and putting them in little syringes for him to sell later on. Which begs the question, is the name Grave Robber a self-fulfilling prophecy? Or is it like a Darth Vader situation where like he got the job and then was given the name? You know? Are all grave robbers called Grave Robber? These are the questions we should be asking people. These are the questions we need to know. He then does my favourite thing in this entire film, and we're quite early on to this film, so I do promise it isn't downhill from here, but honestly this is peak. He just screams. For no reason, and I tried to find out why he screams. Does he just do it for the love of the game? Is that why he's doing it? He's just doing it because he thinks it's fun? Who knows? Obviously, the police then get alerted to the fact that there are grave robbers on site. He then picks up a dead body and uses it as a battering ram. Shiloh gets in it as well, and behind this wall is it's full of cadavers. Like, there is just dead bodies as far as the eye can see. Obviously, for grave robber, he's like, oh, fucking get in, jackpot. Shiloh is absolutely disgusted. But she just sits in the window and then gets grabbed by the police after he screams again. We then also hear Rotty over the tannoy. He says, leave them alone. He's like, don't kill her. Let them go. Leave them to it.
Let them go.
And a Repo man then comes in and kind of is like telling everyone to leave. It then becomes painstakingly clear as to why Shiloh was sneaking around in tunnels, because she then gets a blood pressure warning on her watch, basically telling her that she needs to medicate or she'll die, essentially.
Pressure warning. Blood pressure warning. Medicate immediately.
Because she can't reach her medication in time, she unfortunately passes out. She then wakes up in her bed without her hair, which told you it was important. And her dad is basically saying how, oh, it was close, you know, you could have died, but luckily, like, you didn't. And he essentially just kind of gaslights her into not believing what she saw.
No shy.
There were these bodies.
You missed your medicine and fell unconscious.
Obviously, she doesn't really believe him, because why would you? But he is insistent that she didn't see what she thought she saw and that it was just a horrible dream. Eventually, he just kind of shouts at her. He's kind of had enough of her lips, so he's like, you know what, fuck you, shut up.
You scare me to death!
I love the accent that she puts on, because I don't understand why there's this accent. Why is Shiloh talking like that? It's like a cross between cursive and Valley Girl. It's really strange. I don't understand it.
Dad, I can smell the death.
We then get even more exposition. I'm really sorry. This first half of the film is pretty much just exposition setting up for the grand finale. It's very much a character study, is the way I'm going to describe this film. We find out that Shiloh has a horrible blood disease which was inherited from her mother, who died in childbirth. Her mother being the person's grave that she was sat at earlier, Marnie Wallace. Shiloh then goes off about the fact that, you know, she's got horrible genetics and she just basically hates her mother for it.
Tell me why are my genetics such a bitch?
Which her dad is just sort of completely oblivious to. He's left the room at this point. He doesn't care that she's cutting out her dead mother. At this point in time, all we know is that she is genuinely ill. And I just find it really funny, the fact that she's like genuinely, like, you know, she's terminal. And she's just complaining about her mother. And she's like, why are my genetics so shit? It's all your fault. And it's like, I understand being upset about it, but like, cursing out your dead mum is not going to do anything. And she also is like kind of cursing out her dad. She's like making fun of him. And it's like, he's just trying to keep you safe.
Oh, Shiloh, that was close.
I understand that being locked up isn't fun, but, you know, have you seen the world? Probably not, actually, no, she hasn't. But, like, you don't want to really get wrapped up in that world anyway. Just staying home is probably for the best anyway.
Mother, can you hear me? Thanks for the disease.
She's very angsty in this film, and it doesn't quite translate for me. I don't know. I'm not even that much older than her, but I just feel like, as an adult with an almost fully formed frontal lobe, oh my god, that is difficult to say, fully formed frontal lobe, I just kind of can't see where she's coming from with this. I reckon if I was like 17, 16, I'd be like, yeah, no, I get it. Shiloh, you're in the right, but now I'm like, nah, your dad's a doctor. Like, he knows what he's talking about. We then go back to the comic strip exposition theme, and we find out a bit more about Nathan and his backstory with Marnie and Shiloh. They get married, she gets pregnant, and then she gets incredibly ill. To which Nathan believes he finds a cure, gives her the cure, and then she dies, and the only person that he can save out of the two of them is Shiloh. So that is why Marnie's dead, because Nathan gave her something that killed her, essentially. He holds obviously a lot of guilt around that, because he killed his wife and his daughter's mother. So it's a lot, and he sort of sings about the fact that like he misses his wife and like he's really sorry that he killed her. essentially.
I am only living out a lie.
We then see him enter through a secret passage in the fireplace. And we then see that he is actually a repo man. He's not a real doctor. Well, he might actually be a real doctor, but currently he is not a doctor. He is killing people.
Legal assassin!
And he was the repo man that came in earlier to sort of stop Shiloh from getting killed by all these police officers. Doy. It's kind of obvious. I told you this film's not subtle. But if you didn't know, there you go. There you go. This next song is, without a doubt, the horniest song in this entire film. Which is really fucking weird because it's about the dynamics of the siblings. The Largo siblings. So I don't understand why this song is so horny, but it is.
Where the fuck is Dad, brothers?
He left me in charge, sister.
She kicks Luigi in the balls and walks off. Luigi then goes on about how he should inherit the company from Dad because he's the oldest and the smartest and the toughest.
I'm the smartest and the toughest. I will find a hole
and he essentially kills a nurse. What, they're not called nurses, they're called genterns, but I'm just going to refer to them as nurses because it's just easier. Because she gets blood on his shirt. And he's like, fuck you, I'm going to kill you. Pavi then explains that all the women love him, so he must be the person to take over Jinko because he is the most popular publicly.
Who they prefer, 10 out of 9 will say the Pavi.
And it's this whole scene, it's just weird. It's just so weird, and I don't understand why they did it like this, but they did it like this. There we go, I have to talk about it. So they then get into a bit of an argument, but before it can get too heated, we cut back to Shiloh, who is in her room watching TV.
Hi, I'm Blind Mag.
She sees an advert about cornea replacements being advertised by someone called Blind Mag, who we find out is a singer, and she has her last performance at the Genetic Opera tonight. That's where the name comes from. It's the Genetic Opera. This is what it all leads up to. That is the climax of the film. We'll get there, but not for a little bit. She then gets a call from Rossi on her phone because normal. I love the fact that his head is just there spinning. It's not a video call. His face just appears on the watch to sort of be like, yeah, just in case you didn't know, this is who's ringing you, by the way. And it happens throughout the film, and I don't know why, I find it kind of funny, because it just looks stupid. Because, like, why is his head spinning? Surely she knows who Rotti Largo is because he's the owner of Jinko, which at this point kind of owns, it looks like, pretty much everything.
Meet me in your mother's tomb.
We then get more exposition about Rotti and Marnie. Turns out they were dating and I read online that they're meant to be married, but I can't find evidence for that in the film. They were very deeply in love. And then Marnie met Nathan and actually ended up getting married to him instead. And Rotti never kind of got over it, really. He felt very scorned and so sought revenge on both of them. Obviously, he found out that Marnie was sick and realised that this is how he can get revenge. So he switches the cure, which Nathan made, with poison. It's not really explained what it is, but basically he's the reason Marnie's dead. So he says he's going to take it to his grave, but he kind of just straight up alludes to it.
It's been difficult to see you after what you put me through. You forced my hand and made me do.
With Shiloh being there. I don't know if he knew that Shiloh was there or not, because he does gas her out. So I feel like he did, but then why would you sort of allude to the fact that, you know, like, you got revenge for something against Shiloh's mum? Just seems a bit odd. He then gets Shiloh in the car and is talking about her potential cure for her blood disease, which is why he sort of brought her there. I love the shot of outside the limo with the muffled singing, because, like, what? Why is there no need? There's no need. How loud is this man singing where you can hear him outside the limo with none of the windows open?
And I could use someone like you, the poster child of progress.
Obviously, like I say, he tells Shiloh as long as she will be the poster child, basically, for this trial of this new drug for Jinko, that she can have the cure to her blood disease. He then asks her,
Will you be my day?
maybe don't word it like that.
Who says that Dad needs to know everything?
And again, he didn't need to say that either. But he's saying that this is just not looking good for him. He is average billionaire. You know, he's up to average billionaire fucking tactics, clearly. After mentioning Charlotte's dad, we then cut to him suiting up for torturing this poor man. This song is obviously just about him kind of being a repo man and like repossessing stuff, and he is sort of talking about how it's, you know, his job and it's his living, and like, you know, he's got to make money somehow. Although I do love the shot of him using the man as a puppet for a little duet at the end. I think it's quite it's quite clever. It's disgusting, but it's clever. I quite like it. It adds a little bit of humour to what is a not funny scene of him torturing this poor man. The TV then shows some sort of fair which is happening outside of the genetic opera that is heavily inspired by sort of like Italian Renaissance.
For one day a year only, Sanitarium Square will open its gates and welcome all of us to its post-plague Italian Renaissance.
It's basically Italian fashion, and like the latest in Italian fashion in organ transplants, whatever that fucking means, who knows? Don't question it. So Pavi is getting his face changed, but while getting his face changed, he's also getting a different kind of head as well. Because I told you this film is fucking horny. It's ridiculous. Jesus fucking Christ. Like, it might be hornier than Rocky Horror. And that's saying something, because Rocky Horror is incredibly horny.
Mr. Largo, here's a fresh cup for you.
What's this, rat piss?
Luigi then kills another man because he didn't get him the right coffee. Which, at this point, honestly, this may as well turn into a fucking kill count, because this is actually ridiculous. Blind Mag then gets Luigi to stop. So he kind of just listens to her, because, you know, normal. Pretty Woman tells him to stop doing something, he's going to stop doing it. Amber then appears and is kind of arguing with Blind Mag, basically being like, why am I not the one who's going to sing, you know, after you leave? Because, like, someone has to, so why can't it be me?
Who's gonna sing then after you leave?
Mag tries to explain that it's not her place to decide who takes her role, so she won't talk about this with Amber because she has nothing to say. She doesn't get a say in this. It's someone else's decision completely. It's out of her hands. Obviously, the siblings then all get into another argument.
When I'm running Jinko!
Dad loves me. They all love the Pavi.
Which Rotti then breaks up very quickly and just tells him to leave because he's had enough of their quarrelling. He introduces Shiloh to Blind Mag, who looks like she recognises Shiloh, even though up to this point they've never met, because Rotti explicitly asks Shiloh if she wants to meet Blind Mag. But you can tell that Mag sort of recognises her for some reason. Rotti alludes to her being the daughter of a ghost from the past, but doesn't say anything more than that.
Seeing you two stirs memory.
As she gets called onto the stage, we get her backstory, in which we find out that Marnie and Mag, this is so a lot of M names in this film. Marnie and Mag were best friends, and when Marnie was going out with Rotti, she asked if he could cure Mag's blindness. She was born blind, so he replaced her corneas with the cornea replacement thing that I mentioned earlier, which basically allowed her to see, but also allows her to keep memories stored and to sort of reflect them in like a hologram kind of thing, which we see later, and it's quite cool. She then signs a contract to Jinko, but she didn't realise that the contract is actually lifelong. But obviously, like I say, it's her last performance tonight, so clearly she has found a way out of that contract. Rotti and Mag then have a slight back and forth after that exposition in front of the reporters, which is played for laughs to the reporters, but obviously we as audience members know that this was serious and this wasn't a joke.
Technically, you belong to Jinko.
They then open the opera house for the last performance as Shiloh is escorted to a surgery room. As Shiloh starts to worry about getting home, Nathan luckily gets sent on another, I say luckily, they did this on purpose. He gets sent on another mission, so he can't go check up on Shiloh.
Collect on the Handelman account at once. This payment is past due. Repossess Jinko's property.
While in the middle of said mission, he gets a notification on his watch basically saying that Shiloh hasn't taken her medication at the same time as Shiloh is getting the notification on her watch telling her to take her medication. He then rings Shiloh and is like, hey, why haven't you taken this? And she comes up with a number of different reasons. You know, she's like, I have taken it. I've taken it. I don't know what you're on about. I've taken it. I don't know why it's going off. It's weird. It's just glitching out. It must be weird, Dad. Don't worry about it. He then says that he'll head back. She obviously is like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. You don't need to come home. Your patients need you. Then Shiloh hears the man that he's currently killing.
Oh, that... One of my patients. He's sick.
So they both agree, okay, we'll just go. Like, we'll leave it. You know, your patients need you. It's whatever. We'll just go. Grave Robber then shows up and he basically helps Shiloh escape from the fair. This little aside with the reporter and Rotty, I don't know why it gets stuck in my brain. It like scratches an itch in my brain and I really don't know why. It's the way he says his line.
Would you get a comment, sir?
I love it and I can't explain it. It just genuinely gets stuck in my brain. And when it gets stuck in my brain, I'm fucked because that's all that's going around in my brain for the next like 3 hours is literally just that one line. It's insane. They question Rotty on the dangers of Zydrate and abusing the drug. So Rotty then invites Amber to the stage because she is the head of a charity that basically is a support network for people who are addicted to Zydrate. She doesn't show up and he gets incredibly angry. This is where we learn about like the public perceptions in the media of the different kids of Rotty. So Luigi has a bad temper, Pavi's face is constantly changing, and Amber is constantly changing her looks through surgery. She is addicted to surgery and she is addicted to Zydrate. So this next song, it went viral on TikTok a few years ago. I can't actually remember when on TikTok because years sort of blur into one. I think it was like 3 years ago. It might have been during the pandemic though. So it's probably like the most well-known song out of the entire film, and it probably really helped the film get discovered as well because that's kind of how I found out about it, but I didn't actually watch the film until much later. It's easily the most accessible song out of all of them, which I think is why it went viral, because it's not very opera. It's not very operatic. It's more rock.
Submarket.
So I think that's why it kind of works, and also it's kind of catchy. It's a little bit catchy. The aesthetics in this scene are insane as well, with like the costumes and like the set and everything. And also, I can't lie, in this scene, Grave Robber is kind of a hear me out because I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about him. He's just kind of, he's hot. He's hot, and I can't understand why. I think it's the hair.
Is it her hair? Perhaps it's her hair. There's something about her hair.
Amber Sweet then appears with her version of Bodyguards.
Grave robber.
Once again, they're not dressed appropriately, but at this point I've kind of given up giving them fashion advice. And it's heavily implied, I say heavily implied, it's basically shown to us that she pays for Zydrate on the black market through sex with Grave Robber.
And Amber Sweet is addicted to the knife.
I'm not showing you that once again, there's a different website for that if you really want to go see it. It's called Amazon Prime now. This film is available on Amazon Prime. Go watch it on there if you want to see that, because I'm not showing you that illusion, basically the sex scene between Amber Sweet and Grave Robber, which you don't see anything that explicit, but you see stuff. Also, whoever casted Paris Hilton in this film, thank you so much for doing so. She absolutely kills it. I love it, because obviously she was known as a party girl back in the 2000s, so it just kind of works that she plays this sort of character, because that is the character that she played back in the 2000s. But she's also an heiress. It's brilliant. It's so good. Such good casting. And I want to know, like, who was like Paris Hilton? We need Paris Hilton, because honestly, I just want to shake their hand and thank them, because it's the whole casting for the film is actually really good, but Paris Hilton in particular is brilliant. She's so good in it, like her acting and her singing and just her character in general. I really like it. I think she kills it in this role. Then she hears Grave Robber whistle a Blind Mag song and gets incredibly upset at the fact that someone would have the audacity to do that around her.
Hey, that's Blind Mag's song. Who did that?
And she basically talks about how it's her turn to sing, and like the Repo Man is coming for Mag. We basically find out that because her eyes belong to Gene Co, and she signed that contract that basically says she belongs to Gene Co, if she terminates her contract, they will take her eyes.
If Mag up and splits, her eyes are forfeit. And if Gene Co and Roddy so will it, then a Repo Man will come and she'll pay for that surgery.
And obviously she will die, because you will just bleed out, because that is what they do. They kill you. They don't let you live if you haven't paid back your money. But because it was a favour to Rotty, there was no money to pay back, so they've kind of got her there a little bit, unfortunately. So we find out that Mag is gonna die, and probably soon, considering tonight is her last performance. The police then arrive and find Amber. I say find her, she wasn't hiding, she was just there, but they get Amber and they bring her back. Obviously, Grave Robber and Shiloh then run to try and not get caught, and they hop on a bin lorry or garbage truck, whichever one you want to call it. She then gets off at her mother's grave and then takes the trip back to the house and manages to get there a few seconds before Nathan reappears from the fireplace. Nathan is then called into Rotty's office.
Could sure go for a slice. Oh, never too pressed for that dramatical entrance.
The next assignment he is being given is to kill Mag. Which Nathan originally refuses to do, but Rotty kind of guilt trips him using Marnie's death and is basically like, you're the reason Marnie's dead, so why not be the reason that Mag dies, because then you can bring them back together.
Remember what you did to Marnie.
Which is very fucked up, knowing that he is not actually the reason why. Obviously Rotty is the reason why Marnie's dead, but Nathan doesn't know that. And he will never know that, unfortunately. They then take him into a training group for Repo Men, where he channels the rage that Rotty has caused in him and kills this poor soul in front of the entire family. But at the end of it, he still refuses to kill Mag. He says that he's not going to do that, and Rotty does not take that very well.
No one walks away from me. Nathan!
Speaking of Mag, she then appears at Shiloh's home. Shiloh lets her in after a few seconds of her being like, I don't know if I should do this.
How do I put this? I'm your godmom.
And when Marnie died, Nathan told Mag that Shiloh had also died in childbirth. So Mag was completely unaware of Shiloh this entire time, which is why she hasn't said hi or even acknowledged her existence, basically.
You have your mother's eyes, her hair. I was told you died with her.
She sings a song about how she doesn't want Shiloh to make the same mistakes as she made, and she wants Shiloh to be able to live her life fully and completely freely, unlike she's been able to do, because she's been, hooked up to Jinko this entire time.
Better that you don't forget me.
Sheltered rose,
Best if I
room to
resume
bloom
my life
outside her bedroom.
Mag is played by Sarah Brightman, who is an incredibly famous and well-known West End, Broadway, and just opera singer in general. She originated the role of Christine, who was written by her then husband, Andrew Lloyd Webber, for her. So Christine in Phantom of the Opera was written for her specifically. It's her role, so that's why they kind of chose her for this. I think it works. You can kind of tell she's being a bit Christine-y with the way that she's moving and she's sort of floating, but it works with this sort of like elegance that Mag sort of exudes. So another amazing casting choice. The casting on this film I can't have an issue with. That is not where my issue lies, is with the casting. The casting is brilliant. I think it's great.
It's too late for me.
When the song ends, we see that Nathan has come back home and is stood behind Mag. They have a bit of a back and forth about the fact that, he's keeping Shiloh locked up and there's no reason for her to be locked up, and Mag gets really upset and basically says that
I promised your late wife I'd be present in Shiloh's life.
He then ushers her out and Shiloh is like, she's gonna die, like we need to protect her. Obviously Nathan knows that she's gonna die because he is the person who's meant to kill her. Shiloh gets really upset and is like, Dad, no, we need to save her. He gets confused about how she's found out.
Mag's in trouble, Dad.
Where'd you get this?
Read it, Dad.
He kind of goes on about like how she's only 17 and he's old enough and he's an adult, so she should be listening to him, which fair enough, but he is losing me a little bit.
Hello, please, Dad! Shut up!
Shiloh then responds in song. This song is essentially just her going, fuck you, I'm young, you're old.
17. And it's better than 40.
Get fucked, essentially. Her toys join in and her room turns into like a massive concert with people like trying to clamour to get inside at her door. There's a guitar solo which features Joan Jett. We're not gonna linger on that, we're just gonna let that play. Eventually she somewhere crosses a line, as if the whole, fuck you, I'm young, you're old, get fucked, didn't. He slaps her. She gets snapped into reality and he sort of realises I've just slapped my daughter, and he's like, I'm so sorry, I don't know why I did that, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. Shiloh.
Back at Jinko, Amber comes in, hiding her face.
I've never been so surgically made.
Amber, please, it's not that bad.
And basically saying how the last surgery she got has fucked her up and she refuses to go on stage. Rottie is kind of just saying how like she's an embarrassment and like she asks for so much and she's quite spoilt, essentially.
I look like a crime scene dad.
Which we do see because she says that the surgery that she wanted was only 90 grand and just expects her father to pay for that. She then reveals that her face has got a scar and bruising and just basically the surgery clearly did not go well. He then throws up, essentially. I don't know if it's because he's ill or whether he's just genuinely that repulsed by her, which is not that bad. It's really not that bad. And he's like, I'll get my surgeons to fix you, don't worry. Like, you will have a new face before the show tonight.
I'll have one of my surgeons fix you up so you can sing tonight.
Thanks, Daddy.
Even though it was her own fault, because she went like black market, because she's addicted, not because of any necessity. We then see that Rottie is actually planning on leaving Shiloh with the entirety of Jinko in his will when he dies. He then calls Shiloh and says to meet him at the opera because he has her cure, which Nathan sees on the watch. And then he heads downstairs to his office and Shiloh sneaks out of the house. Nathan gets ambushed in his office by 2 guards. And Shiloh goes to a car that is waiting outside for her to take her to the opera. Nathan then explains that he plans to kill Rottie that night at the opera, while Rottie basically tells everyone to kill Nathan.
Apprehend the Repo man, Nathan Wallace, at once. Bring him to me.
He wants Nathan dead, and Nathan wants him dead. So it works out quite well for them, really. They could really just do a suicide pact and get it over with, you know? Sort each other's problems out on their own. Shiloh puts on a dress that was her mother's.
Shiloh, this dress once belonged to your mother. I would be most honored if you wore it to the opera.
And heads to the opera. Shiloh is backstage while people are currently going on about the fact that Jinko has helped them. They've been saved by Jinko. We have one woman who flashes the television cameras. You're not seeing that. I'm telling you now, you're not seeing that. But while this is all going on, Shiloh gets a message via video from Rottie, which this man is allergic to appearing in person, I swear to God. He basically tells her that in order to get the cure, he wants her to kill a repo man that has gone rogue.
There is but one thing pending. Help us catch him. This former Jinko trainee.
And if you can see where this is going, you're absolutely right. Yeah, that is where this is going. It's so... I told you this film's not subtle. It's not subtle. It's really, really obvious. The writing is not a strong suit in this film, but it's fine because everything else sort of makes up for it. Amber Sweet then appears on stage with her new face, which then immediately falls off mid-performance and she gets booed off stage. Obviously, then comes Blind Mag, who looks like a black swan with the feathers and the red and the black, if you couldn't tell, like red and black, and the corset and a little bit of tool. I love this outfit. I love this outfit that she wears. It's gorgeous with the makeup as well. Love it. Chef's kiss. She is then suspended above the stage, singing, and we then hear her say that she'd rather go blind. So she plucks her own eyes out. She just, in her eyeballs, plucks them out. And then Rottie cuts the ropes to her harness. And she falls and gets impaled on the fence. Rottie comes onto the stage and basically explains that this is all part of the show. This is how Mag was meant to go out, it's not nothing you should be worried about. Essentially, so everyone's like, okay, cool, it's part of the show, we'll do brilliant. And then he explains that the next act is also part of the show, which sort of explains everyone's nonchalance to everything that happens in the next sort of 20 minutes. We then cut to Shiloh, who sees the repo man in which she has been told to kill, and she hits him over the head with a shovel. Obviously, it's then revealed that it's fucking Nathan underneath the hat. And she's kind of like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to kill you, but like, you're a repo man, what the fuck are you doing? He then scolds her for leaving the house, which, like, really? Now? When she's discovering that you're killing people for a living?
Didn't I say the world was cruel? Didn't I?
You did.
Leg, no leg. Can't stand on it. What are you doing? There is no way in which you have the moral high ground in this situation. I don't understand it.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
He then pleads to her to basically come back with him. There's no way I can say that sentence in which it doesn't sound wrong. And basically just forget that this whole thing ever happened and they can just move on like normal, which she kind of doesn't agree with.
Didn't you say that you were different, didn't you?
I say she kind of doesn't agree. She just straight up doesn't agree. Charlotte gets upset and then says that another person has taken over his role as father figure.
Dad, I hate you. Go and die!
Nathan automatically knows exactly who she's talking about when she says that, and so goes looking for Rottie.
Then let the father die!
He ends up on the stage after being ambushed again and notices that Mag is dead, kind of at the same time as Shiloh. notices exactly what has happened. Luigi then stabs Nathan on the back of both of his legs and sends him down. Rotti kind of manipulates Nathan into revealing why Shiloh is sick. We find out that the reason Shiloh is sick is actually because of him. He has been poisoning her medicine, which isn't her medicine, it's just poison, and essentially weakening her.
He's poisoned all your medicine.
Which obviously she gets really upset about. Rotti then offers her the chance to kill him in order to take over GeneCo. He also explains to the audience that he is in fact dying. You know, quite a big grand reveal. Everyone has now found out that Rotti has some sort of disease and is probably going to die that night. Shiloh then passes out because Rotti is basically telling her that she doesn't need her medication. And we see a recap of the entire film, which is, I think, meant to be sort of her life flashing before her eyes. But, like, surely she's 17. Surely the last however many days this has been doesn't just sum up her entire life. Surely there's more to it than that.
Oh, my life flashed before my eyes. It was really boring.
Shiloh then refuses to kill her father, which then Rotti shoots Nathan instead because he's just kind of had enough of it.
No!
Shiloh runs to him and basically it's kind of a backhanded sort of goodbye, because she's basically saying like, oh, I didn't think I'd love you as much as I do. And he said the same thing, and it's like, dude, that's your daughter.
I didn't know I love you so much, but I do.
Bit weird. Don't like that, because I just don't think the story, like the message works there. It's like, oh, I didn't think I'd love you as much as I do. I understand it's probably meant to be like, I didn't think it was possible to love another human this much, but it just comes across as like, now that you're dying, I actually realise that I love you, and I feel bad that I didn't realise that. Rotti then denounces his children, calling them all embarrassments, and basically says that when he dies, GeneCo will die with him. It will just collapse, and people will realise how much of an impact he truly had in their lives, which is just so twisted. It's very capitalism coded, you know, and I kind of like that sort of ending, that he is just capitalism final boss, essentially. Nathan then dies in Shiloh's arms, and at this point my disbelief is not suspended, because surely there is at least one person within that audience who does not think this is fake. There's at least one person that's like, this looks a little bit too real. Although Shiloh's final song probably doesn't help that, as she's walking out talking about how she's free at last, you know, and like she's able to do whatever she wants to do.
It will always be up to me, up to me.
The world is her oyster, essentially. And she gets in the car and she leaves. We then get Grave Robber kind of wrapping up the whole film with a little epilogue.
Goth opera, blood saga.
About how we all die and we all end up in a box. So what is all of this for, basically? We then see that Amber is actually the new owner of GeneCo, and she auctions off her own face for charity, which Pavi then wins after Luigi kills the top 3 bidders. It's supposed to be, for them, a symbolism of the commitment for change. Obviously, if Pavi's just buying it, it doesn't quite work all that well. And it's still proving that they aren't changing, and they're still up to their old fucking tricks. And that is the end of Repo the Genetic Opera. I knew this film was going to take me longer to talk about because it is just fucking batshit insane. And there's a lot of plot for something that is quite character driven. I genuinely love this film. I think the aesthetics are great. The writing, it's a bit shit. The songs are decent. Obviously, Zydrate Anatomy is an absolute bop. I have that on multiple playlists. And Things You've Seen at Graveyard is kind of a bop as well. I like the gothic kind of vibe of it all. Obviously, my favourite thing about this is the casting. The casting is brilliant for the most part. Luigi kind of overacts a little bit at some parts, but it's kind of endearing. It kind of works. The film's very camp. I'd argue this film is camp. As usual, I do not know how to end this. This film is available on Amazon Prime if you do want to go watch it for the horniness in which I've mentioned but not shown you. Because this film, good God, it's horny. You might need a bottle of wine to get through it. God knows I did the first time I watched it. But it's worth it for the gore. And the special effects are actually pretty decent as well. Like I'm pretty sure the majority of it is practical effects because it looks like it is practical effects. If you liked this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below if you've seen this film, because not enough people have seen this film and I need someone to talk to about it because I unfortunately have no one to talk to about this. I know you're out there because you're watching this video. So, like I say, if you liked it, let me know. If you've got any recommendations for films that you want me to cover as well, please let me know because I would very much appreciate that. I have a feeling I'm probably know what I'm going to cover next time, but I can't tell you yet because I like keeping things secret. Watch the roads, I don't know. See you later.